I wanted to start out with a question that I think is appropriate given that this is the last meeting of the year, and that's what events or achievements or otherwise classified acts do you think are really highlights of Mathlib over the past year, or the community more generally? And so I talked a bit about all the changes we've seen at from core, that it's really night and day in a lot of ways from the start of the year till now, and the really heroic effort to keep Mathlib apace with all of those. And then Johan mentioned even further downstream with the Carlson project and the equational theories project, their breakneck pace, and how much of that is due to Mathlib itself and the structure it provides. Okay, so we had our first brave soul. Okay, go on, continue. Yes.
Then you mentioned the differential privacy project, right?
Oh, yes, that's super cool, I think.
So that's another one that is a highlight.
I like doing math, but the math I do often does not touch the real world in any tangible way. And so it's nice to see things that have, ripple effects out there for, things I contributed an atom's worth to. All right. But does anyone else want to volunteer? Okay, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think you mentioned like specific achievements. I think it's worth mentioning all the amazing work that Joel is doing in the category theory and homological algebra libraries. It's really, really amazing to see, I think. And he's doing it all like directly in Mathlib. So it maybe doesn't get so much attention as a specific project, but I think he's really doing great work.
I 100% concur. I think when we started the year, we did not have the definition of a derived category in Mathlib. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was in his own personal repository at that point, but nowhere near Mathlib. So yeah, it's wonderful to have community members like Joel and others like him who are machines, animals, tearing things up and making our lives much easier. I think that's great to highlight. Thank you. Do I have any other? Okay.
I think the Lean for the Curious Mathematician workshop was really, really nice this year. I mean, it was also really, really nice other years, but this year, so Ricardo, Filippo, everybody else who made that happen, that was one of the highlights, I think.
Thanks, I'm glad to see, glad to hear.
Does any Ricardo, Filippo? Okay, good.
No, maybe just not. We've recently been asked to write down like a postmortem paper, apparently in French, but we might either ChatGPT or ourselves might translate it to English or something. It will take a while to write it down, but I think it's also nice that the French Mathematical Society asked us to write such a paper, I think. And I hope it will help Mathlib to be more visible, at least in France and probably.
So where was it held? My memory is like a sieve.
It was in Lumini at CERN.
Oh, nice. Yes. I remember many people trying to swim unwise places the last time I was there. So how many people participated from your
Around
organization?
80 maybe.
Wow,
70,
80.
75, 80. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
We had
And
to,
were they mainly from the? Sorry, go ahead.
no, we had to pick off maybe 5 or 6 participants who were willing to come, but unfortunately there are a limited amount of rooms in a Serum, so you cannot really have everybody. Sorry, go ahead. You had a question, Matthew.
Well, no, so were they mainly from the continent, or did you have people further afield?
Well, I think I was very happy. There were also 5 or 6 people from the golf community.
Oh, good.
And Ricardo, you might have memories of someone.
Yeah, I don't remember honestly. I think mostly mathematicians, but a lot of young students, like PhD students and even master students.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's great to see this culture of really engaging events continuing strongly through this year. Arend.
Actually, Michael.
Oh, Michael. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, I want to ask, are there any plans for next year having a Lean for the Curious Mathematician again? Because that's how I actually got into Mathlib. And there's-
Johan.
And there's 2 things I actually wanted to highlight. So first, Oliver Nash's work on the classification of semi-simple Lie algebras. And I'm personally excited to watch all the work towards Fermat happening, even though I'm not a number theorist.
Yeah. So about your question about LFTCM, I think there are some sort of early plans, but nothing concrete yet. And yeah, we'll have to see which of them materializes. But maybe, yeah, at some point, maybe we should also just make a push as community. And so there was one solid plan, but that didn't materialize, unfortunately, because the application for the location was not granted. Yeah, but we'll. I'm sure there will be something. Like we can't have a year without an LFTCM.
So circling back, what was the status of Lie algebras going into 2024? And what is it now? You said the classification of semi-simple Lie algebras, is that?
I think the statement of the classification has been around for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, so especially in the first half of the year, we did a bunch of work towards the classification. And yeah, now there's a bunch of work happening on root systems and Coxeter groups, etc. And eventually, I think we'll be able to knock over the full proof. And it shouldn't even have to be far away, like a couple of months. And if we would work on it full time, then I think maybe 2 weeks. But yeah, we're not working on that full time.
There's many things that we could work on full time. We could clear off our plates, I believe. But that's certainly a worthy goal. I think I was told by my office mate in Berkeley, the start of the semester, that they have Dinkin diagrams engraved over the new building in Cornell. They had to try and figure out decorations or something that didn't make it look so austere, but also mathematically appropriate. That was I think a good choice in that situation. Michael, did you say you had 2 things you wanted to highlight? And did I miss one, or?
Yes, I mentioned 2 things. One is the classification of semi-simple Lie algebras, and the other, more broadly, all the work towards Fermat's last theorem, be it for regular prime, the general case.
Yes. Let me send virtual hand claps for both of those. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a wonderful statement to be able to communicate and share, right? So congrats to everyone who's involved in that. So, anyone else? There's lots of things, I'm sure, but I think we'd love to hear what people think. Put other things forward.
I think October was the first month that we merged more than 1,000 pull requests in 1 month.
Yes. That's yes. Wonderful. And also daunting. Right. So I think the new review dashboard, that's also something that we should definitely highlight, because the achievements of Mathlib, whether they're applications in libraries outside of Mathlib, whether they're seminal mathematical results that end up within Mathlib itself, keeping that all running in a reasonably smooth fashion is a lot of work. And it's a lot of work for people who have other commitments pulling on them every day. And so that should 100% be commended and is super appreciated.
So I want to mention Michael, because even though I'm hosting the repository on my GitHub account, he wrote, I don't know, 80% of the code at least. So big kudos to Michael.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And these are hard problems that I don't think anyone has solved in other venues to begin with. And I think this complexity of our situation only makes it more important. So it's wonderful to see. Is this
Thank you. Actually, short advertisement. I'm going to give a talk at Lean Together in January about tooling for scaling Mathlib, and the keyboard will be part of it. So if you would like to hear more, that could be a place for you to find out.
wonderful? What can someone remind me what the dates are in case people are watching this? This might be doing their exposure.
Let me look them up right now.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to play helpless so that.
So that should be January 14, that's a Tuesday, till January 17 on Friday.
Wonderful. And if people want more information, they should look.
On
Zulip,
the
I guess.
internet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Zulip on the internet. Yeah. Ricardo, you should have. Where do people find out about Lean Together?
Well, there is a website, and we are putting them on research seminars. So
Okay, good.
we are in the process of finalizing the schedule, so it will be ready hopefully in a few days. So
Okay. My search GPT query responds with looks like real information, and links also to everything. So great.
I mean, the website is. How can I write here? So this is the official website. Is there already? It's already in the event page. So
Okay, so off the official Lean Prover community
yeah.
GitHub. Okay, good. And is there a link on Lean Prover community GitHub directly to it for?
I don't know what you mean by. I mean, there is a link in the Lean related conference and events page.
Okay.
And
Okay,
I
good.
think that's enough. Yeah.
Okay, good. So hopefully that's enough for people who are listening to this and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want to jump in.
We have already 150 people registered. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So anyone else want to highlight something that they really thought was interesting over the past year?
So I have a bit of a weird hobby, which is tracking technical debt. So I'm really excited by the technical debt tracking that I think Johan set up and then others contributed to it. And especially most people are gradually paying it down. I
Yes.
think it's extremely important.
It's along those veins, it's wonderful to see resources devoted towards paying that down in Mathlib, like the work Anne is doing with Christian, I think is here, and refactoring the structures, the morphism spaces for concrete categories to make our lives a little easier with automation there. That's great to see. I haven't figured out how to see everyone at once on Google Meet. So yeah, it looks like Christian is here. Quiet. I'll try to avoid calling on people. Is there anything else that people want to highlight over the past year? Christian, you have the floor.
When was Fermat for regular primes done? Was it in the very beginning of this year?
No, maybe
If
it was in December.
ah,
Yeah, I'm not. I don't remember exactly, but yes, it was December or January.
so
I think-
I would say it counts as
Yeah,
and it could be.
more or less. Yeah.
That's certainly a big achievement in the last, say, 12 months. December was 12
Yeah,
months
yeah,
ago.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
I 100% agree. Anyone else want to highlight anything else for the past year? I know the past year has been another year of AI. Is there any AI related? Well, yes, I guess over the past year you could think about the success of alpha proof, right? That and if you go and you consume some of the statements that come out of Google DeepMind, you can see that there's a strong belief that real tangible facts in terms of formally verified reality, not just maybe mathematics, but actually formally verified modeled physical world, will be what is the key to making sure that using the tools that are being developed and not having to worry if they tell you crazy things. Like I was looking for a quote to put at the bottom of my next paper, and it was just making up quotes by Kant and other people. Oh, what this quote by Goethe? Let's use that. No, that doesn't exist. It also reversed the diagrams for an oplax to a lax functor, but only two of them. But it'd be really great, to have things you can trust that come out of this, right? It makes lives so much easier. And to know that Lean and that Mathlib is a part of making that happen.
Right.
I think the sky's the limit in the future for that vein of investigation,
Yeah.
that vein of development.
Because I think so. One reason why we should highlight that, of course, alpha proof was not an achievement by Mathlib or the Mathlib community, but there are statements by people from DeepMind who say that alpha proof wouldn't have been possible without Lean and Mathlib. So in that sense, we have been of fundamental importance to that success. So we can be proud of that.
And there's been a lot of cross-pollination of talent, right? From people who are very
Also
much
that.
involved in math, and
Yeah.
without that, I don't think it would have been possible, that expertise. I mean, but I do think this what was the phrase, mathematical superintelligence, right? That was the one I read in the New York Times. I think there's something to that. There's a lot of hype around things here, but I think there's something to that, and I think 2025 will bear that out in ways that other approaches do not. All right. Anyone else wanna? I'm sure there are many more things. My brain is kind of like a sieve, like I said, so I have many more highlights over the past year for Mathlib and the lead prover community more generally, and those things adjacent to it. So if you're
Yeah, Bon.
Michael,
So as a differential geometer, I'm also excited to see what Sebastian Gozal is doing, integrating analytic and smooth manifolds. Recently having defined the Lie bracket of vector fields on manifolds. Like both of these are enormous pull requests, like the branch is starting out at about 3,000 lines of code. And I think a large part of it will have made it into Mathlib this year.
and can you remind everyone what the status was beforehand and what it looks like now or what will look like soon?
So there was one definition of smooth manifolds or continuously differentiable manifolds that was in Mathlib for a long time. I think then a while ago, Geoffrey Irving came along and added analytic manifolds, or I think it existed before, but he refactored it. So there was really two different notions, but they were not really well integrated together. And Sebastian has really unified those, including implication of, say, analytic manifolds, smooth manifold, which is mathematically true, but Lean didn't know that yet. And that is, in fact, necessary for some applications where you have, say, second derivatives or symmetric that holds over the real numbers if your function is C2, or it holds over any field if your function is analytic. So really need this common abstraction. That's what Sebastian has been doing.
Wonderful. Yes,
I think it's
100%.
Okay.
100% agree. Thank you. Any other highlights from the past year that people want to expound upon a little bit? Well, like I said, I'm 100% sure there are a multitude of other interesting achievements on par or above the ones we talked about already. Just time and memory, right? Makes things difficult. So we talked a bit about over the past year, the changes we've seen. It also makes sense to talk a bit about the coming year. What are we expecting? What are we predicting? What are we looking forward to in 2025 in Mathlib and the Lean Prover community and around it? And Kevin left the meeting. That I could conjecture about Fermat's last theorem status. But Martin.
Yeah, I maybe start with a question. Do you think the Mathlib community will get some kind of access to alpha proof next year, or will there be any efforts to develop an open source analog of such a project?
I think Well, one, I'm not qualified to answer that. And I think the people who are qualified to answer that are unable to answer that at this point. I'm really hopeful that we will see tooling like that disperse out into the community, because the little bit that I hear about it, that leaks out from the agreements people have signed, it sounds like it's going to be really, really useful for us moving forward and make our lives a lot easier. But that'd be great to see in 2025. And I do not know, maybe someone else can say something more definitive, but I do not know. I cannot promise anything with how that will go over the next year. Anyone else have any insight, conjecture?
No insight. I just want to say it sounds fun. Let's do it. And maybe let's stop signing those agreements that let us stop that prevent us from talking about it.
Yeah. Although, after being scheduled to teach 3 courses in the spring, I could understand the value in signing anything to, spend my time working on really compelling problems. Well, hopefully, if I'm being oblique about things I do know about, hopefully in the coming year, there will be new and powerful resources that'll help make these kinds of advancements more possible, help bridge the gap. Oh, we have a comment.
Okay,
From
I'll say my
Rita.
comments synchronously, and then you can say
Oh.
just that. If we're talking about like things I would like to happen, it'd be awesome if when Alpha Proof makes, or when DeepMind makes their next announcement, it doesn't have to be this caveat of like, well, we did half in Lean, half in this other weird system. Like, let's formalize geometry and have them make their announcement of like, we did everything in Lean. That would be my dream.
100% agree. So Rita says, I think Numina, am I pronouncing that correctly? Is working on something similar, but which is open source. I had to go to the NSF recently and try and convince them of the value of a lot of these things. And one of my predictions, which I'm pretty sure, is that we will see a artificial intelligence honest competition at the next Math Olympiad. I don't think there will be one entrant in this. I don't think there will be many, and we're going to have to figure out. I think they're going to do very, very well, and we're going to have to figure out other metrics by which to judge success beyond just correctness of the solutions, like compute time and other things like this. And I'm going to be interested to see who the other participants are in this when it comes around. I think that's a pretty safe bet to make. I think another pretty safe bet to make, I think they will be using Lean to do that in Mathlib to an extent. Well, that's a fun thing to look forward to in 2025. On a related note, there was. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So, what is your favorite theorem that you would like to, for which it is like realistic that it will land, and 2 that is, so favorite but balanced against realistic that it will land.
Well, so if I have to betray my own interests, I would think something along the lines of Ricard's Merida statement that was proved in like the 90s, I think, about having a tilting object and then getting from that an equivalence between the derived category of something with the derived category of modules over that. I could believe that is something which within, thanks to Joel again, with his which is reasonably within reach, and something certainly very interesting.
Yeah. So I'll
yeah.
mention the classification of semi-simple Lie algebras again. I definitely think we can have that next year, and I'm looking forward to that milestone.
Anyone else have some targets? Reasonable, optimistic, somewhere in between?
I look forward to differential forms landing in Mathlib and the differential definition of the realm cohomology.
Right, there was a race between the algebraic definition and the differential geometric definition, right? What's the status of that?
I think the algebraic definition is currently not really moving forward. Whereas Yuri and a master student in Utrecht are actively working on the analytic definition. So they might win.
I do wonder.
Of what? Their own commodity?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't Joel PR that to Mathlib like just the other day?
Really?
Wait, I missed that.
Yeah. The
Now we
following
need-
definition is now sorry-free, their own complex, in the homology stream on Zulip.
Wait. There's too
This
much.
is probably something I've read and already forgotten. I think it's a testament to Joel that
Oh, wow. Wow.
he's just sort of great achievement after great achievement, and let's see.
Yeah. Okay. But there's no PR yet, I think.
Ah, okay. I see. Okay, well, there you go.
So the race is technically still on.
What would be super cool, I think, is the what is this? Whose approach was it to the generation of the Hodge-Durham spectral sequence by passing to characteristic P, having some smooth lifts over some bit vectors as a consequence, removing something characteristic 0? Fontaine-Élysée, yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if by the end of 2025 we'll be in a position to state that. Right.
Maybe.
I find the Frobenius morphism endlessly fascinating. This is someone who started out his life in working over complex manifolds, and results like Delisle-Élysée and like Mori, who has to finite characteristic to prove something in characteristic 0. Those are the cutest things in the world to me, and being able to have something like that would be super, super cool. But I don't know how feasible it is.
Yeah, okay, so I don't think there's anybody actively working on this, but I would love to have a definition of Hodge structure in Mathlib in 2025.
What was happening? There was something happening. Hodge star operator, yes.
Yes.
What the? Yes, okay.
But not Hodge structures.
Not Hodge structures. So we had to take a poll. Do we think we're going to have Hodge structures by the end of 2025?
Everybody who votes yes is obliged to work on it.
I'm looking for the person who is so obliged that they will propose that we will have mixed Hodge structures by the end of 2025. What other things are people looking forward to in the new year? It can, we got about 20 minutes left. It can be as broadly interpreted as you want at this point. I think we had a lot of good discussion about reasonable and some optimistic. Thanks.
So I would really love to see the community grow substantially. And yeah, I think we are doing things to make that possible. For example, by organizing events. Yeah, and looking forward to getting to know even more people interested in Lean.
And I also wonder how much of the community growth is like the amount you see of icebergs, right? There's this little tip on the top, and we've seen a large amount of that. And then what's going on underneath the water? Right.
Right. I was invited to Hamburg for a colloquium talk, and they didn't let on that there were people there who were working with Lean.
Yeah.
Right. So I arrived there, and suddenly I learned that there is like several staff members working with Lean. They have already been teaching courses in the past year. They're teaching one now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of PhD students and other students working with Lean. So they have like this tiny secret Lean community there, and nobody knew about it. So I had prepared a talk for like a general audience, and then there's suddenly like all these people who already are actively involved in some sense. So that, yeah, but it was a very pleasant surprise.
And I think that's more common than we realize. I think there's a lot. So, for instance, we saw in the announcements today about summer undergraduate workshops at the Fields Institute.
Yeah.
Right. And that's an area I wasn't necessarily expecting to see, but you know. I'm sure out there somewhere someone is working on something that will surprise us. Probably more than one someone's that will surprise us in 2025. Surprise and delight us, they like to say. Christian.
I have another highlight from last year and something that might be a highlight next year as well.
Sounds wonderful.
Namely the AIM workshop for formalizing algebraic geometry. Does anyone, or are there any plans to have this again in 2025 or something similar?
I think there will be a workshop at ICERN, not directly algebraic geometry and Lean, but so I'm sure there will be several meetings. I don't know of anything that's just like specific to the field of algebraic geometry and Lean, but
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything else, but like I said, I'm not the best. I'm not the person with the best perspective on a lot of stuff.
maybe we should organize one in Utrecht.
I'm happy to. If we manage to have Ravi Fakir again, then
I guess then we'll have to do it online.
But I think you need to choose a venue that is really appealing. Ivan Cheltsov was very good at picking locations for conferences where people would want to go, like Easter Island. And there was this island off the coast of, I think it was Norway, where they had to give everyone rifles to stave off the polar bears when they got there. What is it? Go on.
Spitsberg, right?
Hallbart, right?
Yeah, it's also very cold.
Oh yes, of course. But that's a pretty good.
ITP 2025 will be in Reykjavik, so
a satellite workshop. Yes. It made for a very compelling sales pitch to come and participate physically, right? Because how often do you talk about going to places like that? I don't know if we got Cheltsov into Lean yet, but we can see. Of course, it doesn't have to be him. Filippo.
Yeah. So one thing that I really want to see is more analysis, like partial differential equations or solvable spaces. Planning and math. We still don't have solvable spaces, and I think. So I would really love to see some expert working in partial differential equation joining the community and starting formalizing all these spaces.
Oh yeah, I'd love that too. If
I'm
only
trying
selfishly.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit with people around me here. There's a lot of French analysts, but for the time being, I have no success at all in convincing anyone. People working.
Mm. I mean, you should try and prod Patrick, right? Because in my mind, the main use for partial differential equations is to find invariants of certain types of manifolds by counting things. And well, these are infinite dimensional spaces, and oh, it turns out that this index is finite, and now we can count things if it's zero appropriately. And then all of a
Yeah, but
sudden, crazy stuff happens. So
yeah, that's true. But I would also be happy to see those people that apply math, like really doing partial differential equations because they want to see how fluids moves in I don't know, somewhere. Say, oh,
yeah.
we want to have this formalized.
I think it's also another area where we've seen in mathematics success of AI, at least from the press releases I've read, right? Is constructing certain types of particular solutions to PDEs. So it'd be great to see, like, in addition to constructing these solutions, they have some verification that goes with it. Michael/Aaron.
So a bit of a shameless plug. My math background is using Sobolev spaces to define invariants of manifolds. So if you care about Sobolev spaces, I'm always happy to collaborate on that. I have too many ideas alone, but doing it together is strong motivation to actually work on it.
Great.
Wonderful.
About Zuli.
You know where to find me. Yeah. So my prod was always, will we see Morse theory, right, in Mathlib by the end of 2025? Because there's a lot of real cool things you can do with Morse theory. That's, what is it? It's something that's almost 100 years old now. If you go back to some of the original sources for it.
Yeah, we should really post this as a list of challenges for the community.
Oh yeah, that's a wonderful idea, right? If we could generate a list of challenges going into 2025, mathematical, structural, otherwise, I think that'd go over really well. Plus, give us some more content to put on the blog, which is always good too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get as, how do you call it? Like a written
AI generated summary of this?
Yeah, like the closed captions thing, or what's it called? Like a transcription. I think that's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So we should just filter it for the things we mentioned, and then turn that into a blog post with challenges.
I think we can open it up too with the last few days before Christmas to see what other people want to toss out there that might not have been able to make it or otherwise, because I think that's a wonderful idea. It'll be fun to go back and at the end of 2025 and see what was met, what there was progress towards, and what remains as a challenge heading into 2026.
Right.
All right. So maybe one last question along these lines. Does anyone have a really spicy prediction for the community? Something that is like, oh, we will see X happen in 2025 that will generate a lot of attention, perhaps. I think we got into a little bit with mathematical results, but what will the maximal number of pull requests merged in a given month be in 2025? Double?
Do we want to aim for double? I was going to say 1,500.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of pull requests, we should start counting how many pull requests are refactor or small modifications, and how many are real contribution to Mathlib. Because I have the impression that nowadays we merge a lot of, I mean, everything is improved stuff, everything is improved Mathlib, so they are more than welcome. But most of the pull requests are small improvements or small refactors.
That's true. Yeah, so maybe counting lines of code added per month is a bit more.
Or just the ones with feet in the title.
Well, everybody
That's
just
maybe
uses
not.
that as a default, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Not exactly
Maybe
true,
get people to stop doing that, and then then it will be useful.
Is there an easy way to see lines of code per month somewhere? I know that we have statistics that are pulled off the community webpage, but does that include lines of code? Okay, I'm getting nods that says yes. Oh, we have a comment. It would be great if the monthly What's New in Mathlib became very live again. And it'd be useful for, instead of doing an annual rundown here, having a monthly result that points people in directions is something that helps motivate people.
It just seems to be a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Something we forgot that it happened in 2024 was the Annals of Formalized Mathematics.
Yeah.
I think we are still waiting, Filippo, for the first issue. Right? Is that exact?
Yes, it's exact, because we have some accepted papers that we are. So the idea was to this was a suggestion by Towers to have the first issue with some papers in it. So the idea, publications will be as papers as accepted, they will appear. But the first 1 or 2 numbers, they will gather like 5 or 6 papers each in small batches, so that they are a bit more impactful. So we have we have something that we are expecting to have a small batch to then number 1.
Okay.
Yes, I think that spans both years, 2024 achievement and a forthcoming 2025 achievement. So that's wonderful. Yeah. And it's a wonderful signpost of the growth of the community and how things are progressing. All right. So we've gone for about 55 minutes. I don't want to impose on anyone else for their time. So any parting thoughts about this year, the next year, or anything else that people want to leave us with?
I look forward to seeing more of the Infinity Cosmos project. I forgot to mention that. It hasn't been as active as some of the other ones, but I hope it will be next year. And yeah, I think it's really exciting.
There will be a talk in the Lean Together about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it's hard to even spend 1 hour or a whole day going over all the wonderful things that are happening, and that to me is really the greatest sign to see people that I've never seen before show up and be vital contributors to the community by the end of a year. I think that's something that's really easy to predict will happen for 2025 too. And to see how the community, how Mathlib branches out into different areas, tackles different challenges, and comes together to push forward in this new space. It's, I think, going to be a joy to watch over the next year. All right. So, anyone else want to have the last word before we call it a meeting? I think also one of Kevin's most recent posts on his blog, for me, believes that we will see Lean 5 in 2025 with Brian Conrad integration as an important tool. Perhaps they'll just sort of plug him directly in with electrodes to see how far we can get.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
It would really boost algebraic geometry.
Okay. I mean, so many things. So many things would get going from that. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I don't think that last prediction will come true, but who knows? There'll be something as surprising, I'm sure. Maybe many somethings as surprising for the new year. Until our next meeting or any events in between, I'll see you.
See you.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye. See you.
Have a nice day.